Hello and welcome once again to another exciting episode of In the Library with
Tara!
and today we have with us special guest
Tim Berta.
Tim Berta, and because Tara's giving me the look, I'm Adrian.
Just in case they don't know.
Well, it's on the title screen, but okay.
Still.
Yes, this is In the Library with Tara and Adrian, and we are here
And
today with Tim Berta. Berta's the correct pronunciation?
Yes, Berta.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Tim?
I went to Ida High School, got recruited by Bluffton University to play football, went there. Then they had a coaching change and hiccups. There was very few recruits for baseball, so they held on-campus tryouts, and I figured, why not? I love baseball, so I made the team. And then for 2 years, I played football and baseball at the college level, and I realized that was not a good idea because I was not that talented to be able to switch back and forth like that. So my junior and senior years, I continued to play football, but became a student coach for the baseball team. And then in my senior year, 2007, I was 8 weeks away from graduating, and we got in a bus accident on the way to Florida, and that's what the book is about.
I remember hearing about the accident on the news back when I was in college myself.
Okay.
Did you hear about it at the time?
I was in junior high, so I was not as in tune to the news, unfortunately.
Right. The accident is a key inciting incident of your book, Fielder's Choice.
Yes.
Do you mind telling us a little bit about the accident?
The bus there are HOV lanes in Atlanta, Georgia that go up like an exit, but then they go down. It's like you're still on the freeway, and from what I understand, our bus took one of those ramp ups thinking that it was one of those continuation HOV lanes, but it turned out to be an actual exit, and by the time the driver realized it, it was too late. And he made a hard turn to the right, and we ramped up over the opposite guardrail, did a 180 in the bus, and hit the freeway below. And I remember nothing from that, but this is what I was told, is that the bus did a 180 and fell to the freeway below, and if the bus landed at the center of a clock on the freeway, there was a player who died who was ejected from the bus. He landed at 3. He died a week later, almost to the minute, and I was ejected as well, and I landed at 2, if you imagine the face of a clock.
And there were 7 people who passed away, correct? 5
Yes.
players and the bus driver and his wife.
Very good, yes. The bus driver, his wife, were both seated up front, and they were killed. And then the 5 players, they were kind of, if I remember correctly, from what I've read, they were kind of spread out at different points throughout the bus. So I don't think it's like anyone in one area died. It was kind of a random thing, I think.
It's kind of surprising more people weren't ejected, because there were about 33 people on the bus, right?
Something like close 35, 33, something like that. But there were some of them who were ejected on top of the bridge after we hit the guardrail immediately. So, like, I heard one other assistant coach, he was asleep or at the very edge of sleep and wake, and then he was ejected out of the bus and then opened his eyes, and he was on top of the bridge, and he crawled over to the edge, and the bus he had just been in was laying on the freeway below. and it was 5 something in the morning, so there was very little traffic. The number one trauma center in the entire Southeast, maybe the U.S., was right off the freeway at that point. So the first responders were able to get to the accident site, the firemen, everything was able to respond remarkably quickly, and I was able to get right into the hospital, one of, if not the best trauma center in the entire U.S. And the hospital was double staffed because the morning shift was just arriving and the night shift was just starting to leave. So they expressed that, at least to my dad, I think he told me that they told him we needed it because it was a zoo.
Oh, I'm sure with all that happening.
Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how many things lined up to kind of help you get to the hospital in time, because you even said in your book that in a normal situation, they would have pronounced you dead and left you there.
Yes.
But they took a chance on you and on David, correct?
Zach.
Zach, sorry.
Zach, yes.
And so they took you both to the hospital.
Yes.
So it's kind of crazy how many things lined up to get you there in time and to get you through that.
Right. And I don't know how true this is either, but I was told, obviously I don't remember anything, but I was told that they initially had me and maybe Zach in the deceased category or section or whatever, however they were organizing it, and then at the last moment there was somebody who walked by and said, no, let's give them a chance. They're barely alive, but they're young and they are in shape, so let's give them a chance. And had that person not done that, no one would have second-guessed them. No one would have said, you know, you probably should have gave that guy a chance. Because I was basically already gone.
Well, thank goodness they did.
Right.
One thing that I really liked in your book as well is you talked about how the community came together to do a fundraiser for your parents, correct?
Correct, yes.
The church.
Yes.
Both with that and like the months and years leading after, how did the community come together to help you and your family?
Well, the fundraiser, obviously, and then the Lord's University, they realized I had been accepted before they knew about the accident because I had applied to different nursing schools to transfer because it was my senior year. I was 8 weeks away from graduating, and when they learned that I had been accepted and I was going to head there, the president at the time and the board of trustees said that we're going to do something Lord's University has never done. And they announced at my They sent a representative, and you read about this, I'm sure. They sent a representative to my fundraiser, and she announced, we don't know when or if Tim will ever be able to come back to school. But if he does, for anything he is able to do, it does not have to be nursing. Anything he can do, however long it takes him, he will not pay tuition at Lord's University. Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's putting the student first.
Yeah.
That is what a school should do.
And you did get your master's.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
How long did it take you to get your master's?
I started in the pre-nursing because I thought, I could do it in nursing. Why not? And I soon realized this is too much for my new brain. This is too much for my physical limitations with my left arm. My good arm shakes at times. I wouldn't want me taking care of me in the hospital, so I better stay away from that. Plus, it's not a good idea to be in the hospital without a spleen, because spleens help the immune system. So I'm not as fortified as I once was, so I figured I better punt here and do something else. And or no, this is baseball. I'll better sacrifice a fly here and then score the run anyway. Lords was awesome to me, and the community. We had people offering to do modifications to our home, and there were all kinds of food requests, and there was people come out of the woodwork to help us and support us. I had a lot of family, uncles, aunts. I had a cousin and aunt who were speech pathologists, and they offered to come to my house once a week to help me do extra speech work, even though I was not crazy about that to begin with. I could tell that it helped, and there was a local masseuse who offered to give me one time a week free 1 hour deep tissue massage, and we did that. Maybe a year, if not longer, and she was, God bless her for that. So there were examples like that too.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Kind of like puts you in awe when you think about everyone in the community like banding together.
Yes.
In those moments.
Yes.
It's a nice thing about the place that we live.
Yes.
So I am curious. So now you're a public speaker. That's your main job now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I could hear that. Yeah.
So I was wondering, what kind of places do you go to do your public speaking? And has there been like a certain organization or an event that you really enjoyed being at or really touched you?
I do schools on occasion when I'm asked. I've done events, there was a gathering at a church for a 4th of July event, and I spoke there. And what else has there been? I've spoken to, it seems like there was someone who was asking me to do their community event down in Walbridge, Ohio or something like that, but I don't know that ever materialized. But I've also come and visited in the hospital different people with brain injuries. I visited somebody who was home. He had a brain injury, and I've spoken at the University of Toledo white coat ceremony for the Doctor of Physical Therapy school, and I really enjoy that. And I've spoken to speech students. I volunteered for I spoke to them, and at BG, and I volunteered at UT to be there. They were giving me a test for different speech things, and I volunteered to do that. And I speak to physical therapy classes. They watch my gait. They observe how I move, and I help them in that way to be a real live, like this. Like I tell that to them too in my speech, the physical therapy white coat speech. I tell them that I'm a real person. This is not a case study, or this is not some guy on a paper. This is a real person, and I share stories about being a real person. So, like, the food was awful because it had to be pureed, but I didn't know that. And I talk about a nurse that was gorgeous, and when I got angry, I took a swing at a nurse because I didn't understand things that were going on. So I share human aspects too.
I think that's good, yeah, because it's really easy if you're in that field, if you're constantly focused on what's going on, to forget that you're dealing with real people. People who are confused or upset, or they're dealing with all this, and they have to remember to treat them like a human and focus on their emotions as well. That probably is very helpful to many of them.
I hope so. Well, someone who read this book said that every nurse and doctor and medical staff needs to read this book.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting, so for a good chunk of this, you even say in the book that you don't remember everything that happened. You were told a lot. So did you sit down with people as you were writing the book to get their accounts, or is it just you heard so much over the years that you knew, or you already knew what they were going through? Because you did a really good job of talking about their feelings in there. Like, it really does put you in an emotional place when you're thinking about it and putting yourselves in everyone's position.
Oh, thank you. I mostly I talked to my parents, and I heard and read different things throughout the years, and then I called. I was talking on the phone to another coach who I told you about, got thrown out on top of the bridge. That's where I got that story from, because I didn't know that, but he told me that, and the NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board accident report, and medical records and all that stuff. I mean, that's partly too why I didn't go into detail about the other death, because that's a sensitive subject, and I don't want to get anything wrong there. So the only one I really knew about was Zach's death, because my parents and his family bonded in that week until he died and they had to go. So, and other than that, I heard different things about the players, but I didn't want to get anything wrong and upset their families, because that's not what I'm about for this book. I don't want to upset them. I want to honor my teammates who were killed.
On that note, have you kept in touch with any of your teammates?
Well, mostly Coach Grandy, because I was the only senior on the bus. And a lot of the guys, they could just go on to their regular lives, and they get married and have families, all that stuff. But I see them on occasion. Like, I was just down in Columbus earlier this year, I believe, for the high school baseball coaches clinic, and there was a player there to sell some of my books. There was a player there, and then there was another player that I coached at Lord's there, and different things like that.
Was it hard writing the book? I feel like this could have put you in like a very emotional spot going through it all again?
So, yes. Short answer is yes.
Yeah.
There were some parts I hated writing about. Like, I hated the fact that I had to tell the reader that I did not cooperate at times with my cousin and aunt who were trying to help in a speech. They were doing it, they weren't getting paid, yet they did that for me, and there were times where I didn't want to do it, and I did not cooperate, and that's embarrassing, and that's a rough area. And then the death, I almost don't want to sing my praises too much, because there were teammates who were killed, and science says I should have been one of them. So that was tricky, and then there were other parts that were almost healing for me. Like I did not like reliving the torment in the UTMC inpatient. Like, when I was confused, when I took a swing at the nurse, when I didn't want to be there, when the food was terrible, because I had to be pureed. I didn't know that, but there were other things that were healing, like that thought train. When I thought about 5 plus 4, what grade did I learn this in? What was I doing to that? What did they use to teach it? Was it apples? If it was apples, did we get to eat them? If we got to eat them, did they wash them? If not, that's gross. And things like that. That was kind of healing for me. A lot of it was not. I am glad I did that because it's, as the cover says, honoring fallen teammates.
But it's really nice that you did include that stuff. Even I can totally understand that being uncomfortable to write about, but it's honest, and it's what a lot of people in those difficult situations, that's how they honestly react. And like you were saying, like talking to medical students about your experience, I think it's very nice to have that honesty in there because other people can relate to it, and just reminds people like the difficulties, the human aspect and all the difficulties that can go into that.
Yes, and it was embarrassing, yes, but when I was done with it, as you just said,
Mm-hmm.
people can relate to that because that's what goes through their mind too, and I'm proud of that. I'm glad I did that because I'm not going to sit here or sit there and write, oh, I did everything I needed to do and I was happy to do it and I want this. I was miserable. I was in pain. I was confused. So why not write about that too?
And it shows the progress of where you are now and what everything you did to get to the point that you are now.
Right.
Yeah.
And in that way, too, it feels like I'm honoring my teammates.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you did say that you were older than a lot of them, a lot of your teammates. Did you know the ones who passed away pretty well?
Well, I knew.
I guess you would have known them well, but like, were you friends with them?
Oh, I mean, we didn't hang out all the
Yeah.
time or anything, but I knew of them, and like there was somebody that initially they said, because I was hitting the head pretty hard, so I had to kind of shake the cobwebs out, and I didn't know everybody at first, but then they gradually came back to me. The teammates who were killed, and that was tough.
Yeah.
But that's another nursing story too, is they saw, the nurses in UT saw that I had just learned for the umpteenth time about all the players who were killed, but this time it actually sunk into me, and I retained it, and I did not want to do anything. I was miserable. I was just distraught. And then the nurses saw that, a couple of them, and they came surfing in on a gurney into my room, and they started to lip sync and dance to a song.
Yeah.
They didn't have to do that, but they did that as a nurse. And when I talk to the nursing classes about that, I say, now I'm not telling you have to dance as a nurse. All I'm saying is that if you do dance, make it better than the dancing I got. but they were human. They treated me in the best way they knew how. And that's what being a nurse is all about.
Yeah, nurses deserve all the respect in the world. I come from a nursing family as well, and the hard work that they put in, and just the care that they have for their patients. And that's what it's about.
And do you remember the part about, what did I name him? James, in My Nurse in Atlanta from Jamaica?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He'd always like talk to you, and
on his days off, he'd clean my room. You don't get that everywhere.
No, but that's a person who's in the right position for that and cares about their job and the people around them.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I could ask a question, we are running a little short on time. Now that you've written a book, do you plan to write more books?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I would write about, because I already wrote one about my favorite topic, which is me, so I don't know.
Could write a sports book.
What books? I had a book signing at a downtown Sylvania bookstore. She said I was just as much up there with her bestsellers. And I asked her what her bestsellers were. She said romance, so maybe I'll write a romance next novel.
Okay. I have one more question I need to ask you.
Okay.
Has anyone ever told you look a lot like Alan Tudyk?
Oh, I can see that.
No, I don't know who that is.
Well, I'm the first, and I'll show you a picture after.
Okay.
He's a fabulous actor.
Is he good looking?
Yeah.
I hope so. All right.
I really like him. He's a good actor.
Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share with our audience?
Well, I would like to proclaim here that the Lord did a work in me. He took something that was a crumpled up heap of rubbish and turned it into something glorious, and I want to praise him for that.
And something I want to say before we're done, I want to make sure that people have access to your book and are able to read it. I read a copy from here at the library. We have a couple editions within our system, so you can request it through the Monroe County Library system. It is also on Hoopla, so if you're an online reader, you got that option too. But if you want to purchase the book, where's the best place for them to purchase it from?
You can get it online anywhere. There's a bookstore in downtown Sylvania, Fidget Fern. There's with part of the 1,000 original prints. Mm-hmm. And then you can buy it from me, or you can buy it from another store in downtown Sylvania, Hip to the Groove Boutique.
Can they buy it directly from your website?
I don't believe so. Not directly from my website. They could contact me and I can meet them someplace to buy it, but not directly from the website. There might be a link to Amazon there. I can't remember.
Okay. But they can get it off Amazon.
Yes.
And if they want to have you as a speaker at any of their events, they could contact you through your website?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. That's easy to do that way. I have been contacted a couple different times through that, yes.
That's how I got you. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming and joining us today.
You're welcome.
Like I said,
thank you for having me.
I think that everyone's going to really enjoy reading your book and hearing your story.
Yeah, thank you. I hope so.
It's that time once again, so we're going to turn our attention to the goings-on at your local library. And I'm going to choose to start it off with Michigan's Medicinal Mushrooms with Tyler Davidson. This will be coming June 4th, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. at the South Rockwood Branch Library. Tyler Davidson, founder of Magic Forest Medicine, will discuss foraging and the benefits of mushrooms with plenty of time for Q&A throughout. Register online.
I am going to register for that. I'm very excited.
Do you like mushrooms?
I love mushrooms. I actually tried growing some this past year. So I had pink oyster mushrooms and blue oyster. And then, what was the other one? The other one was weird because it was supposed to taste a little meaty.
Like a shiitake style?
It was a lion's mane.
Lion's mane.
Yeah, so that wasn't my favorite, but the pink oyster was good. Coming up at the Bedford Branch Library is Summer Homeschool Hangout. This is open to all ages, and it'll be on Wednesdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Calling Bedford homeschool families, join your library at White Park in Lambertville this summer to meet new friends, hang out, play games, visit your bookmobile, and more. Bring your lunch and get ready to have a fun-tastic summer. It doesn't look like there's any registration for this event, so you can just pop on out on the Wednesdays that you are available.
We would like to make you aware that the Blue Bush Branch Library features Sit, Chat, Finish That on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. The next one will be coming up on June 18, 2025. So if you've got a craft project that you've been storing away for a later day, why don't you bring that out? You can sit, chat, maybe you'll finish it.
Yeah, I'm not going to finish it if I'm chatting, personally.
That's fair.
One's got to give. All right.
Well, before that...
Well, it depends on the craft.
Do you have any crafts that you are currently working on?
I have many crafts that I've started and haven't finished.
Okay.
I'm trying to teach myself how to crochet, and I really need to actually do it again. But anyway, the K-pop Club for teens and adults. There's one event left. It'll be on June 6th at 5 p.m. It's the Big Summer Bash. This one will be at the Bedford Branch Library, so come on out. You can stop in, meet, and spend time with other K-pop fans.
Do you like K-pop?
I have heard a couple songs that I thought were cool. Don't ask me any names of any of the artists, but the music's good. I'm assuming you like K-pop.
You know, K-pop's all right. I was big into J-pop when I was growing up, and it's interesting that the children have moved on a letter in the alphabet.
Yeah.
Although I know why that is. Okay, so this is neither here nor there, and our listeners probably won't care. But this is entirely true.
Okay.
The Japanese recording industry only caters to the Japanese market. If you're interested in J-pop, that's cool. They're willing to take your money, but they do not promote outside the country.
That's interesting.
Whereas Korea took the opposite track, and Korea actively promotes outside of Korea.
Mm-hmm.
So that sort of led to the alphabet shift from J-pop to K-pop.
And now you can get A, P, and T. Ah, pata, pata, ah, pata, pata, ah, pata, pata, uh-huh.
Okay.
See, I know a song.
Moving on to Social Security benefits coming Friday, June 6th, 2025 at 3 p.m. This will be going on at your Bedford Branch Library. Come out and hear our speaker, Nikhil Majithia, talking about how to maximize your Social Security benefits. Register online.
That sounds very exciting.
Well, you know what? If you were in the appropriate age range, it might.
I'm not saying it's not. It's a great event. People are very excited about it. I think it's one that we need to have. I just said it sounds exciting. Coming up at the Bedford Branch Library is the Grand Adventures Book Club. This is a really cute book club. It's for grandparents and their grandchildren to do together. So it's children ages 5 to 10. There are 3 different dates that it'll happen: June 18th, July 16th, and August 20th at 2 p.m. And you bring your grandchild and come ready to share your favorite storytime rituals, discuss great books, and explore new activities that you can enjoy together. Space is limited, so please register ahead of time.
And we would like to make you aware of the Summer Music Series. That'll be at the Bedford Branch, and it'll be coming up on June 18 from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. featuring Roseweed and the food truck, The Big Jarowski.
I want to go to them for the food trucks. I like food trucks.
I think it would be interesting if the truck was made out of food. I don't know how that would work with a combustion engine.
People would be eating it, but then it would also be dirty, and I'd rather just have the food inside.
Okay, hear me out on this. What if the inside of the truck was made of food? So you climb in and you just start eating.
Seems very unsanitary.
And on that note...
Sorry, party pooper.
If you're listening to us on YouTube, be sure to hit that like button. Subscribe and hit the ring bell for notifications. It helps us out if you do. And if they're on Spotify...
You can follow our Spotify page, and you can like the individual podcasts. It'll help us with the algorithm.
You just like saying algorithm.
I do. I say it every time.
I know you
algorithm.
do. And this has been In the Library with...
Tara.
And I'm Adrian.
You are?